And coming up in our third to final fight, we've got Rob Font facing former flyweight champion Deiveson Figueiredo up to bantamweight. Bantamweight, right? I'm not sure, but yeah, bantamweight. To face the boxer Rob Font, as mentioned. And this should be another very, very interesting fight. It feels like Deiveson Figueiredo is finally like able to breathe after just being consumed with those fights against Brandon Moreno for the greater part of 3-4 years. So it feels like fresh air for him. It was always bewildering how he was able to make 125 in the first place. And so 135 feels like it's going to be more natural for him. And he's facing a guy in Font who we know pretty well. Got a good gas tank. He's going to press on the pace the entire time with that boxing. And he's got one of the more crisp just boxing combinations throughout the league. And so it'll be interesting to see who's got the better edge on the feet as far as power and damage goes. I lean Figueiredo. I think that power holds up a weight class here because he is pretty much a natural 135er already. And that power at 125 was just a complete difference maker, like Amanda Nunes level power, but at that division. And so power as far as the differential between them and everybody else. And so I think it's going to be interesting. He obviously has the wrestling, the grappling. He's just a born finisher. And so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to damage Font, who's been able to wear some damage in the past. So Font coming in off the back of another loss to Corey Sandhagen, which respectable, but what we saw in that fight, first round taken down, second round taken down, third round taken down, fourth round taken down, fifth round taken down. He was on the ground for something like 20-something minutes in that fight. And he was held there the entire fight by Corey Sandhagen. And granted, Corey had an elbow injury that he claims he had at least. So whether that was accurate or not, he was able to wrestle the shit out of Rob Font. What tells me that Figueiredo won't be able to? What tells me that Figueiredo, even if he gets clipped, won't be able to leverage his wrestling? He's as good as anybody on the feet, but also on the mat. And that, to me alone, makes me side with Figueiredo. So I think it's fascinating that he's the underdog here. But, Andy, where do you lean in this fight? 'Cause I think this is a weird line for this.
I'm right there with you, man. I cannot believe Figueiredo is an underdog. I don't know if it's him moving up the weight class. Maybe it's the time off. But, I mean, the last time he fought was beginning of this year. Like, I know he was supposed to have that Manel Cop bout, but he's been saying that he was going to do this for a minute, and he's finally doing it. I'm happy for him that he gets to move up and see what bantamweight is like. I think Rob Font is literally just a perfect stepping stone for him to be able to then propel himself to get into these interesting bantamweight conversations because besides the controversial bantamweight title fight that's coming up, where should Cheeto Vera get a title shot? No, but because Sean O'Malley is dictating who gets it, he's getting it. There are so many dudes who deserve a bantamweight title shot that Deiveson Figueiredo beats Rob Font here, and he gets that shot. And I think that's what the UFC is doing here. Because does the UFC want Rob Font to get a title shot? I think Rob Font's an awesome dude. I think he's a phenomenal fighter, but I don't think that Rob Font is as big of a name and as huge a proponent in the bantamweight division as Deiveson Figueiredo coming in from the flyweight, and he's getting this guy. I'm with the gas tank for Font will be a factor. Figueiredo also has a huge gas tank though. Like that guy was going into wars with Moreno. He did get choked out by Moreno in their second fight. And then they had the doctor stoppage, which whatever. I don't see an avenue where this happens with Font, where he's going to be able to submit Figueiredo. I think Figueiredo is equally as good with him on the feet, if not better. And there's just no angles for me where I see that Figueiredo is should be the dog here. So I love value like this, man. I really do. And this is one that I've had circled for a while, ever since I saw that he got rescheduled and was able to fight Rob Font. I'm going on a bit about it, but I just can't express how excited I am for this fight, to be honest with you. So totally agree with everything you said. I don't have a ton to add from the stylistic standpoint, besides that I just don't see where Font has that edge.
Yeah, the only edge that I could see Font having is if Figueiredo's power just doesn't translate, or that 3-inch reach advantage in the boxing is able to land before Figueiredo can get there. And that could be the difference. But I think an interesting note is also that Rob Font in his last 10 fights, he's 6-4. But in those fights, he has been between a minus 150 favorite to a plus 150 dog. So basically anywhere around a pick 'em in 9 of 10 of those fights. And that includes fights against Rafael Sunsao, Sergio Pettis, Marlon Moraes, Cody Garbrandt, Jose Aldo, Marlon Vera. So against high-level competition, like he's able to keep fights close regardless, or at least able to give a stylistic matchup to where it's like, hey, I'm not going to get out of there like easy. You're not going to be able to get out easy. The only person who's really able to do it just and dominate him the entire fight was Corey Sandhagen. Maybe he's found the path of least resistance to Rob Font. And if he did that and he really showed the blueprint, Figueiredo has more than enough wrestling and jiu-jitsu to be able to hold the back on Rob Font. If he can do it to Brandon Moreno, I guarantee he's going to be able to do it to Rob Font. So,
the other thing with me here too is like, even if you want to go the MMA Fight Miles approach or like the UFC experience approach, like both these guys started their careers, Rob Font in 2011 professionally, Deiveson Figueiredo in 2012 professionally. They both then Figueiredo started in the UFC in 2017, Rob Font in 2014. Like both guys have about the same number of UFC fights. With Figueiredo, he's got 14 UFC bouts. Rob Font's got 16. It's like from a UFC mileage standpoint, they both are running on the same pace. Besides that, Deiveson Figueiredo has a ton of championship experience in 5-round fights compared to Rob Font's. But Deiveson's 35, Rob Font's 36. I don't see an age, an experience, a mileage standpoint here at all. It's just so confusing to me that the odds are here, and I think it's time that we pounce on it. So,
and I think
how many units are you riding with on Figgy?
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there a little bit. I mean, Figueiredo too. I mean, he has more fights, more championship fights, but he has far more finishes. He's got a lot of first round, second round finishes. So like fight time wise, Rob Font's gotten to a lot of decisions. Figueiredo has been sitting there and getting guys out early before he takes much damage and gets more mileage on his body. Rob Font, he's a boxer, so he's taken a lot of 4-ounce gloves to the body, to the head, everywhere. So it could be interesting. And that's not to say that Rob Font isn't durable, because we've seen Rob Font get wobbled a lot. You don't really see Rob Font get knocked out. It doesn't really happen. To be fair, it hasn't happened. So I doubt Figueiredo will be able to get that. I think Figueiredo could get the back and choke him out, though. But I'm just going to take Figueiredo straight up. I got him at plus 125 for 2 units. That's my favorite play of the week. And I think it's my biggest play so far on the podcast. So I love Figueiredo in this spot. I'd be surprised if the power doesn't translate.
I'm with you. And I'm also going 2 units on this one as well, where I can't, I'm being a dead horse now, but I can't believe that the odds are here. So we're both on Figueiredo big in this one. We're both going with Figueiredo for 2 units at plus 125. Coming up next, we have Jalen Turner stepping in last minute. Well, not last minute compared to some of the other ones we previewed over the last few weeks, but last minute as in he stepped in last week to take on Bobby Green in the lightweight division. Keep it locked in with us as we preview the co-main event. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Pilsners and Prelims, a UFC betting podcast by Happy Hour Sports. Just want to ask if you could like and subscribe to the video if you like the content that we're putting out, and be sure to stay tuned to what we have coming up in the future. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the other side.